Well, we are back, and this has been a long-awaited podcast, and I apologize that I've been absent for the past couple weeks. A lot of craziness going on out there in the world, but my plan is this. I plan on doing as much podcast as I can for you guys and getting out more videos for you guys at home, because I know that a lot of you out there right now we are all going through a pretty tough time right now, and a lot of you guys out there are home and are planning to be home for quite some time, and that is my plan, is to give you guys as much content as possible. And I got some really cool stuff coming out for you guys. So that being said, my name is Cdale, Enick, and you guys are listening officially to the Stones and Bones podcast. And if you guys are listening out there on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you guys know the deal. If you guys are on any of these platforms, make sure you go to facebook.com and search Stones and Bones Billings. Go to YouTube and search Stones and Bones Billings, and make sure you visit stones-bones.com, and you guys will be able to find the video version of this podcast. And for you guys at home, watching me on Facebook, watching me on Instagram, wherever you guys are, you guys can search us at Stones and Bones on your podcasting platforms and find the audio version of this. And you'll be able to find be able to listen to me on your phone, on your Alexa, on your TV, wherever you guys are podcasting on. Just some really cool stuff coming out for you guys. So, that being said, I am planning to do even more videos, just me talking with you guys, whether I'm doing research, just some cool things I'm finding about the other rocks. I'm actually planning on going back to past podcasts and doing more extensive research on those. And I know that it's probably not possible for me to get more stones from the Stones and Bones Rock Shop, but I believe that they are open in Billings. So if you guys are in the Billings area, they are open in Billings right now, as well as the Body Rigs Tattoo and Piercing building. They are actually open as well, and they are following the guidelines and everything to get people in there safely, and they're just being overall safe and sanitary. That being said, this is going to be one interesting podcast because I have a really cool item with me. I have a couple cool items with me, and these are actually meteorites. And the classification on these, they're actually named Campo Del Cielo, and these actually come out of Argentina. And I have one sitting in front of me right now. This one's really cool, and I believe my dad's actually going to purchase this one. And I believe they are priced by the gram, and this is actually a pretty heavy stone, a pretty heavy meteorite. And I'll give you guys a closer glimpse after I'm done with the podcast. I'll record for you guys. And these are actually pretty popular also in pendants, and I don't know if you can see this one, but I'll give you guys a closer glimpse here in a second. But these actually come out of Argentina, and I have a lot of notes, so forgive me if you catch me reading, because this one is truly a fascinating one, and truly, it's just truly detailed. And I believe that I have some really cool things to tell you guys about this meteorite, and I have a story to tell you guys as well. Just some of the history behind this meteorite, because this meteorite has been on the Earth for around 4,000 to 5,000 years, and it was created. It was said to be created during the creation of our solar system. So that's a really cool fact. Okay, so the Campo del Cielo refers to a group of meteorites, or the site where they were found in Argentina, and 620 miles northwest, actually, of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And this was a crater field that covers an area of 1.9 by 11.5 miles, and contains 26 craters, the largest being 115 by 91 meters, or 377 by 299 feet, which is pretty massive. Crater, like I just mentioned, is 4,000 to 5,000 years old, and this was actually first reported in 1576, I believe. And there's a whole story that goes behind that one. I'll get to that in just a second. But we're already known by our Aboriginals, and that is kind of the thing, because there was this whole spiel about the locals actually knowing about this site that contained iron, and some really cool stuff behind that. The crater was first reported in 1576, but was also known by the Aboriginals before that for years. The craters contain fragments of iron meteorite, and that is what I have on the table. This actually have a piece from the site in Argentina. And 100 tons of this meteorite have already been mined in the area so far, making it the heaviest meteor on Earth. And this is a really, really cool fact because there's plenty of meteorite sites around the world. There's plenty of meteorites that are found around the world. You guys watch these people coming in like on I know that I watch this show on Facebook, Pawn Stars. There's people that come with meteorites. Really, really cool thing to get into. Now, the thing about, especially, I was just telling Crystal earlier, I was texting her, that this is a really cool subject for me because I was a huge nerd when it came to space, when it came to meteorites, when it came to the solar system. I knew all these weird random facts growing up as a kid, and I remember my mom bought me, actually, I was going to show and tell one day, and she went out and bought me this really, really big book. And this thing was massive. It was like a massive cardboard book, and it was really, really big. And it was like too big for me even to carry to class. And it was just like one of those massive, weird books. And it contained a lot of facts about space, a ton of facts about meteorites, and a ton of facts about the solar system. And I read that thing like crazy. And I read it all the time. And I believe we still had it up until a few years back. I don't remember where it went. But I remember being so happy about this book. My mom actually had to carry this into class for me because it was too big for me to carry at that time. I don't remember how old I was, but I was super excited about this book that she got me. So that being said, the largest two fragments are 30-ton, and it is called Gancedo, a 28.8 ton El Chaco. And these are among the heaviest that were mined out of Argentina. There's also a 60-ton Hoba and a 31-ton piece Cape York meteorite. And these are all coming out of Argentina. And they are all basically the same meteorite and around the same site. And the site spans, I believe, like I mentioned, I think it was 11 miles or so. Anyways, it's actually a thin layer of pasture. And there's all these little deposits and these little places that people are actually mining the meteorite. And these are an iron meteorite, and they're classified as octahedrite from Argentina. And I'm hoping I'm getting that right. The research that I was doing, that it was all pointing to octahedrite. So that's kind of the whole thing I went on about diving into. The age is to be estimated to be around 4.5 billion years old, and was formed as part of the development of our solar system. And so that means that this meteorite sitting on the table right now is possibly older than the Earth we sit on right now. And that's basically what meteorites are. Is they're all pretty much were formed in this creation. And a really cool fact. Now, this was first reported in 1576. This deposit, this place of where they actually found the meteorite was reported in 1576, but it was actually known to the locals in the area, the natives in the area. And a governor of northern Argentina commissioned the military to search for a huge mass iron. He also heard the natives use this iron for their weaponry. The natives claimed the iron fell from the sky. The area was referred to by the natives as Campo Del Cielo, or a translation into the field of heaven. The military found a huge mass of metal and assumed it was an iron mine. They grabbed samples which were described as being unusually pure for iron. And if that wasn't enough for them, the governor documented the report, but it was then forgotten until 1774, and he actually didn't believe that this was that this came from space and that this was a freaking meteorite. So he kind of just reported it. He went to mine it and reported it and put it inside documents and archives, and it was forgotten for many, many years. and it was kind of almost like useless to him because he didn't really want to do much more with it. Yeah, they assumed it was an iron mine. They grabbed samples which were described as being unusually pure for iron. The governor documented the report, but it was then forgotten until 1774 when it was ruled as an iron vein. It was then left alone for years and years until 1783 when an expedition led by Reuben Dale Sealis used explosives around the crater and thought it was a single stone. Reuben estimated it to be about 15 tons and called it worthless and abandoned it. It wasn't enough iron for him, I believe, and he just thought it was worthless and abandoned it. And that's kind of the whole spiel that went on for years and years and years. Reuben didn't believe it to be a meteorite. He sent samples to the lab, and they found it to be 90% iron and 10% nickel, and assigned it to the meteorite origin later on in history. And this is actually sometime after Reuben, he, just like the first governor, found the meteorite, documented it, sent some pieces off to the lab, and then just left it alone because he didn't believe that it was meteorite, and he believed that it was just 15 tons of it, and he thought it was an iron vein and just left it there, and the rest was history. And actually, there was this whole thing about this iron deposit inside Argentina, and until this day, until 2015, there was these large masses of iron coming out of this site, and I named a couple of them in the beginning of the podcast, and these were Cdale, El Chaco, that were among the heaviest, and Joba. And the Joba was actually a 60-ton meteorite that was pulled out of Argentina, a 30-ton piece called Cape York meteorite, a 28.8-ton El Chaco, a 30-ton, again, Cdale meteorite, and these were the largest that were coming out of Argentina. And the thing was about this, up until 2015, there was actually like a problem going on because people were actually trying to smuggle these out of Argentina, these large pieces out of Argentina. And it became a problem. The police got involved. They kept moving the meteorites around, and I believe that they have the El Chaco and the Joba sitting in Argentina right now, and that is actually protected by Argentina and the government there. Now they finally believe, and obviously finally believe, that this is a meteorite, and this is actually a truly treasure to have inside of the country. And it's protected by the entire government. And that was kind of the whole thing going on with this meteorite, is that this was many years of people finding this meteorite, taking expeditions. I think there's like more than 4 or 5 expeditions that went on. I might be wrong there. That went on between the first meteorite being reported in 1576 and 17. I have a lot of papers here. And then another documentation in 1783, more documentations just years and years and years down the road, up until it was finally ruled to be a meteorite, and then it became that much more valuable to the community and to Argentina. Now, just like every other stone that we have on the podcast, there is always some sort of healing properties, because I know that many of you out there are truly into metaphysical properties. I always had a hard time saying that word. And this is one of those stones, and this is one of those meteorites, and this is possibly the coolest one, because the healing properties that I've read about, anyways, you cannot get these healing properties from anything found on Earth, and that is the thing about this. That is the key point into the healing stone and the healing properties of a meteorite, because it is literally out of this world, and it is said to aid in success. And there's people actually use this, and they believe that this is a good success stone, and they believe this to benefit them inside of their business, inside of their dreams, their business ventures, whatever they're doing in life. They believe that this is the stone to have, especially if they're wanting success. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, these are popular to wear in amulets and I have one on the podcast right now. So if you guys are listening, make sure you go to stones-bones.com and look at the piece I'm holding up right now to the camera. And my dad is actually purchasing these two pieces, and these are really, really cool. And I thought this was a Cape York, and actually the way they start grading these and kind of separating between what meteorites are which meteorites and differentiating between the two. And there's actually plenty of different types that come out of Argentina. They actually take I believe it's like a millimeter scale, and depending on how the designs are on the meteorite, and that being that these are kind of triangular, and depending on how the angles are on the meteorite, depending on how far apart they are, they actually classify those as different meteorites. And just a really, really cool thing to know. But yeah, these are all out of Argentina. All came from basically the same rock. They're said to aid in breakthroughs in difficult times. So if people out there have read stories also on these, people using these in difficult times, and these are the stone they have, because there is no other stone like these on Earth. And just like every stone, these are truly, truly unique, and there is not another one like it on Earth, and there is not another one like it in our solar system. And also said to increase your mental strength. So that is a really, really cool thing about the Campo Del Cielo, and I actually had to Google that and try to get the pronunciation on that. That being said, I only said that once in this podcast. That being said, my name is Cdale Enick, and you guys are officially listening to the Stones Bones podcast. I have much more podcasts coming out for you guys, especially this week. Crystal sent me home with a lot of cool stuff. I have some jewelry that I can go through. I got some turquoise that I'm going to be studying on. I actually have a couple more different types of meteorites that I'm going to be studying, and I'm hoping to come back to this meteorite as well as time goes on throughout the week. And it's going to be just a really, really cool segment that we're going to be dropping on you guys at home. I'm actually planning on, just like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, just filming with my phone and talking to you guys, maybe going live with you guys, answering some questions about the podcast, answering some questions about whatever you guys are feeling out there. And that'll be the thing going forward. If you guys are wanting to see what I am up to also on my other pages, make sure you visit us on Facebook at Fallen Hour, and visit my Facebook at Cdale Enick. And these are two fan pages I have. The Cdale Enick page is a kind of a funny page, so it kind of lightens the mood at home for you guys. We do a lot of cool challenges, funny challenges. One of the more popular ones being my wife and my brother actually did the Big Mac challenge, where they ate 3 Big Macs, a large fries, and I believe a shake or a large drink. A lot of stuff like that. And also we have another podcast segment we are launching on my Fallen Hour page, where we talk about conspiracy theories or theories about certain topics. We're actually going to be diving into a serial killer series and kind of reinvestigating those cases. Really strange, a really cool podcast. I hope you guys join along. My name is Cdale Enick, and you guys are officially listening to the Stones Bones podcast. See you guys very, very soon.